All right, guys, I think we're going to get started. So we've got kind of behind the scenes, we've got Mario, we've got Mark is there, and Zach is there. So they'll be answering some questions and things like that for this evening. Got a couple big announcements just to start the night off with. So let's kick this off right now. So welcome to oh hell, I don't even know what week we're in. I think we're in week 13. I hate to say that, but I think that's what we're at. And week 12. Somebody says week 12, but I thought we did week 12 last week. But anyway, so two big, huge announcements today. The first is, and I think Aiden alluded to this last week or sent out an email about this, the master file is done. Guys, this is fantastic. It's basically like a reference. Here it is right here. And it takes every single part of the 100K factory system and puts it into a very, very structured, organized kind of a reference document, okay? And you can see here, it's 147 pages long, and it just kind of gives you the highlights, the summaries, and where on the videos, the time marks that we talk about certain things. So this is just absolutely, priceless to going back and saying, gosh, I wanted to get a primer on, how to do boosting my post or whatever. Well, instead of having to go through and look at all the stuff, look at all the weeks and try to figure out what week it's in, you can simply go to this reference area, and you'll be able to go right to that page and then right to the time in the video if you don't feel like you got enough of an overview within the text itself. So this was a massive, massive amount of effort to put together, and I think you guys are going to find it just, absolutely priceless and very valuable as you go back through and need to look things up and want a refresher on things. Okay, so please use it. It's in the resource area right this minute, and we're super, super proud of it. Okay. The other big announcement here is that we've also got another document in the resource area, and that is the engagement secrets document. And this can also be found in the resource area. And essentially, it is a no-nonsense guide full of all the tips, tricks, tactics, all the things we've been discussing, and some other things on how to get the most engagement on your Facebook page as well as your websites. So it, again, is just absolutely invaluable and really puts all of the things that, that drive, engagement and people being interested in your content and clicking on your content and, allowing it to go viral and all that kind of great, fantastic stuff, and puts it into one spot. Again, a lot of work went into this as well, and that is in the resource area right now. And I think you'll really enjoy it. And it's perfect for, just kind of reacquainting yourself with, all of the good best practices to get people to really enjoy your content and engage with your content. Okay. So please use those. A lot of work went into them, and we're super, super proud of them. All right. Let's see if I can get back to where I need to be. Okay, so master file in the resource area. Please use it. Engagement secrets in the resource area. Please, please, please use that. Okay, 100K factory phase 2. Tonight we moved some things around a little bit just because of some travel and scheduling issues that we have. So tonight I'm going to talk about white label. Okay, and pretty excited about that because it's one of my favorite ways to make money online. It's a fantastic business model, and you'll see towards the end of the presentation I have here, having 100K factory type sites is such an amazingly powerful weapon to have in your arsenal when you've got a white label business. It's absolutely unbelievable. And we'll see how that all fits together, okay? But we're going to talk about white label tonight. Now, several of you got a pretty special bonus for a couple different things, a couple different reasons when we launched 100K Factory. And that is the what we call the white label cash flow cheat sheet. And let me just show you that real quickly, because I want you to see what it's like. You'll see all these are sort of branded and organized similarly. This is, in my opinion, the best single source of information on how to build a white label business. I personally believe it is more valuable than the popular $5,000 course. Okay? And the reason I think it's more valuable is because it is much more straightforward, much easier to follow, much more paint by numbers, much easier and condensed, and because a lot of work went into making it sort of seem easy. Okay, but there is a lot of meat in here, and my goal tonight is not to go over and replace everything that's in here, and what I want to make sure of, and what we have already made sure of actually, is that everybody has access to this document. We felt like in reviewing the training for getting you guys up to speed in white label, we feel like it's critically important to do, and we'll talk about why that is. But we felt like, you know what, it would be another, 3 webinars or something if we couldn't give away this document, which is our document. But so we felt like, you know what, let's make sure that everybody has this. And we will go over kind of the sort of the high to medium level and just introduce this topic and get everybody ready, give everybody a foundation so that when they use this document, they'll be incredibly well prepared. Okay. But again, I would argue this document is better than a $5,000 course on how to build a white label business. It is just completely paint by numbers, and it has benefit of many of us working on this document with years and years of experience on building a white label business. Okay, so everyone currently should have access to that in the bonus area of the 100K Factory members area. If you do not see it, okay, please put a support ticket in, and we'll make sure that you have access to it, because we absolutely expect that everyone will need to use this in order to build a white label business. So my goal tonight is to give kind of a fairly high to medium level look. We're gonna get a little down in the weeds here on white label, and I'll try and clear up some things that people get confused by. We've done this enough and with enough people and worked with enough people that we kind of know the trouble spots, and so I'll try and bring those up. But for all the details, okay, you're gonna want to use that cash flow cheat sheet. The 100K Factory sites can be an enormous advantage to the white label marketer. It is almost unfair, and we'll explain why that is. But it essentially gives you an immediate marketing boost, or at least the potential for an immediate marketing boost when you launch your product on Amazon, and that can make all the difference between just a decent, profitable product and one that makes just a ton of cash, right? If you're not doing white label, I strongly urge you to do it. Furthermore, I strongly urge you to do it now. And I would even argue that even if you haven't progressed, even if you had some vacation, you were taking some time off from 100K Factory, you weren't going along at our pace or whatever, I would almost say, look, start the white label now, okay? Because there's built-in kind of hurry up and wait time in building a white label business. It is not the quickest thing to implement, okay? It's one of the downsides to it. And it's also why we didn't use it as our initial monetization strategy for 100K Factory. It's just honestly too slow. However, it has 2 really important things going for it. One, I have not seen it fail. I can honestly sit here and tell you that I have worked with personally, and I'm not talking about like, an info product course that I don't know the people and I don't necessarily talk to them all. I have personally worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, and consequently probably about, I don't know, 1,000 different products, somewhere around there, order of magnitude wise. And I have never seen one not make money. I've clearly seen some make a lot more than others, but I have not seen any where people, didn't put something online and all of a sudden they make money. So that's why it's incredibly important that you start it, because it takes a while to get going. But the other reason is that it's September already. And you do have a chance, if you start now, to have your product up before Christmas. And, I say this all the time to our Blueprint Academy guys. We are spoiled. And we take Christmas for granted. And, if you're in a brick and mortar situation, you probably make all of your profit in November and December. And the rest of the year, you're just breaking even, waiting for November and December. We don't have to do that in the online world because our profit margins are so much higher. However, Christmas is usually at least 2 to 3 times the profitability, the margin, the traffic, the sales, whatever number you want. They're all 2 to 3 times higher than normal volume. So if you can, get things up and running and get a product up before Christmas, you're going to have a really, really nice payday before the end of the year. And if you have already built a 100K factory site that has an incredible like base following, however you want to say it, that are potential customers of that product, or in parallel with building out your first product, you build a 100K factory site, Facebook page and all that kind of stuff, and build up an audience, you will also have an incredibly quick leg up on not only getting your product listed and for sale by Christmas, but also be successful in making a lot of sales, so that double and triple is, more than double and triple of one. It's double and triple of quite a bit. Okay. So the one thing I'd like you to take away from all this tonight is, if you're not doing white label, I really would like you to start now, like tomorrow morning. And I would really like you to do it to the exclusion of all else as the highest priority for the reasons that I stated. Okay. That's my advice. Okay. And by the way, so Mark, Zach, guys, I don't have the questions open here. So if something comes up that you think I need to stop or address, if you could do that, if you just let me know, just break in, and I'm happy to do that. Okay.
Roger that.
All right. Okay. So what is white label? Let's just make sure we all know what it is. Essentially, it is you having your own product manufactured. Most of them are manufactured overseas. Most of them are manufactured in China, but that doesn't have to be. And you work with a manufacturer and you get your own product built. Now, it's usually built off of some other product they already build, okay? And you might make some improvements or some branding changes to it, and so on. So in other words, like, let's say you have a cheese grater, okay? The cheese grater that is being sold by Susie's Kitchen Appliances or whatever, and Joe's Kitchen Gadgets, they're probably very similar, but they're different products. And, Susie and Joe each have them made somewhere. So they have them manufactured and they have them branded, their own name, right? And they sell them separately under those brands. And that's what we're talking about doing. So you might say, you know what, I would like to sell a cheese grater. Okay, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to find a manufacturer, most of the time in China. I'm going to find somebody who I like their quality, I like their product. I'm going to do some research and I'm going to tweak their product a little bit so that it's the best darn cheese grater that I can market, that I want to use. I'm going to call it Steve's Kitchen Gadgets. That's my name of my company. And so this will be our deluxe cheese grater. I'm going to build a logo for my brand and some nice packaging and colors and stuff. And I'm going to get 100 of them made and all put into my shiny new package. I'm going to send it off to Amazon, their warehouses, and I'm going to sell it on the Amazon website, and it will be fulfilled and sold by Amazon. Okay. So that's what we mean by white label business. There are a lot of different variations on that, but when we talk about white label, that's what we mean. Okay. So why would you use Amazon? I mean, I don't have to sell anybody on Amazon. I bet we all. There's nobody that I know who doesn't have the little brown packages showing up, every once in a while, right? It's the #1 e-commerce source in North America. It must be pretty close to that in Europe, if not the #1 in Europe. It's an incredibly trusted website. The people that are searching on Amazon, the traffic that Amazon gets, which is gargantuan, the commercial intent of that traffic is off the hook. I mean, the conversion rate of, traditionally, if you send Google AdWords traffic to an e-commerce website, a good conversion rate that we used to be able to get is maybe 2 to 2.5%. That's not good. That was great. Okay. And these are very targeted terms I'm talking about. So I'm talking about like, cheapest red widget, or whatever, and send that traffic to a website that sells the cheapest red widget, and you're still only going to get 2.5% conversion rate. Okay. So 2 or 3 out of every 100 visitors maybe will place an order. That was really good in the old days. Amazon traffic, the traffic that lives on Amazon, it's such high commercial intent that if you start getting below 5-6% conversion rate on the traffic, you're starting to be pissed off, And I know people that, and some of our products too, 18 to 20% conversion rates. Now the traffic is obviously lower, but not a lot lower, I'll tell you that. So it's pretty amazing, okay? And it's super easy to set up with Amazon and get your product on there. And the minute you get your product on there, all of a sudden it's being seen by millions of people. Not only that, but you don't have to deal with any of the shipping stuff. Amazon fulfills the orders for you, right? They warehouse everything, they ship it out, they handle all of that. Okay. You can even use them, even if you sell on eBay or Sears or Newegg or Quten, any of those other places. If you sell outside of Amazon, you can still use them. You can do a manual fulfillment. You can use them to fulfill the order. Okay. Now, obviously, they charge you for it, but you'd have to pay for the infrastructure to fulfill orders anyway. It's a good deal all around, I guess is the point. And it is easy. You can focus much more on the development of the product itself and the marketing. And those are the two areas that are going to make the difference, and you don't have to worry about your e-commerce site itself or even really about the overall traffic there. Okay. So a lot of advantages, and it's kind of a no-brainer. So the system, if we could be so grandiose, is pretty straightforward. You're going to get set up with Amazon. You're going to figure out a product that you want to sell. Okay. You're going to find someone to build and make that product for you. Okay. And you're going to get all your branding together and your packaging. You'll do all that with the supplier. You're going to create your listing online on Amazon. You're going to get your inventory built, manufactured, and sent to Amazon. And then you're going to market your product within Amazon. That is the system. Now, the white label is easy, in my opinion, from a degree of difficulty standpoint, but it takes a while. It's one of those things where it's like, it's hurry up and wait. It's like, okay, well, I gotta find the product. Okay, well I gotta do all that. That's great. And then I gotta, find the suppliers, and that takes a while to get them. And I gotta get them to get me samples, and I gotta, go back and forth with them on the samples and what changes I'd like to make, and get my initial order, and hopefully I can get it shipped by air. And you have to be patient. Okay, a typical like turnaround time. I mean, it's really hard to have something up in less than 30 days. And that's only if you can get it by air, shipments by air, which we do recommend. And we'll talk about all this. Okay. But 60 days is probably more the norm. Okay. So you're going to have to just manage your expectations, and you're going to have patience. But it will pay off in spades, believe me. All right. Signing up, getting an account, I mean, we're not going to go through this. I mean, it's cake. You just go to Seller Central. Excuse me, guys. I'm just having a bit of a drink here. Seller Central, and you're going to sell as a professional. You definitely want to do that. And it'll just ask you for some information. And we'll talk a little bit about names. I don't know where it is, but it's in here somewhere. And you have to give them some of your information, but it's easy. You don't have to be a company. You don't have to be in the United States to sell in the United States. They support many, many countries for direct deposit of monies. And then they have other options for those countries where they don't support it. So I know 100 people who are outside the U.S. Selling on Amazon US. Okay, and that's definitely the right place to start. I mean, the traffic, just for the traffic. Okay, so even I would argue, although I know people who are in the UK who started on Amazon UK, but my preference for all of you would be, I don't care what country you're in, I would prefer that you start with Amazon US, unless you have some compelling reason. Like, for example, it's a product that's only good for the UK market or something like that, okay? But I would prefer that you start with Amazon US and then build out from there, all right? So, yeah, Amazon will pay you in your own currency, direct deposit to your bank account. You can just check and see. Again, most countries are supported, but they also have Payoneer for those that are not. So, I have not met anyone who's not been able to make this all happen for them, where they're able to be outside the U.S. and sell on Amazon U.S. Okay. Just a quick word about names, because this will come up quite a bit, and this is an area where people get confused. So you've got your company name, all right, and that's something you'll set up when you originally get your seller account with Amazon. That should be a rather generic name, okay? So think about it like, Joe's Brands, or, Steve's Trading Company, or something that is an umbrella organization, right? So I'm trying to think of one in the real world. I mean, GE is an umbrella organization. They own many different brands. Procter & Gamble is an umbrella organization. They own many different brands. So that's kind of what you're going for. So you can call it anything you want. It doesn't have to be whatever brands. It doesn't have to be trading company. I just use those as an example. But it has to be something that is sort of generic enough so that it can support multiple brands. So in other words, you wouldn't want the company name to be Steve's Kitchen Gadgets, because then, what if you want to market automotive supplies or something in the future? Okay, so it has to be like Procter & Gamble or GE or whatever, all right? And that's your company name. Your brand name will be a brand that you're going to be building out over time that will have multiple products in it. And usually what happens is, obviously when you're first starting out, you don't have a brand, you don't have a product. So your first product becomes your first brand, right? So if you, during the process of trying to pick a product, you pick a kitchen gadget, well, okay, your brand is going to be Super Kitchen Gadgets or whatever you want to call it. That's your company, that's your brand name, which is another company name, right? So all of the future products that you might source and develop and sell that are kitchen gadgets will belong under that brand, okay, which will belong under the company name of Steve's Trading Company, all right? But you can also have, let's say 3 months from now, you go, yeah, you know what, I'm kicking ass with this. I would love to do another kitchen product, but I do have this other idea for an automotive product. Okay, well then come up with, super duper automotive products or automotive gadgets, and it can still fit with under the brand, under the Steve's Brands or Steve Trading Company. All right, just another brand. So don't get too hung up on this, because your first product will be your first brand, and some people never leave their first brand. They develop 5, 10, 20 products all within that one brand. Perfectly fine. They like that brand, they like that sector. There's some advantages to think about your 100K factory sites. If you have a 100K factory site that you work really hard on that appeals to kitchen gadget buyers, well, that might be a brand you want to cultivate, because you can constantly use that 100K factory site again and again. Okay, because they're kitchen gadget buyers. So you got the company name, you got the brand name, and then you have the product name. And the product name you don't have to give your product name. But usually it's just like, if it's a super kitchen gadget, maybe it's just a deluxe garlic press. So the Amazon listing will say the brand name, Super Kitchen Gadgets, the product name, deluxe garlic press, and it'll say sold by Steve's Trading Company and fulfilled by Amazon. So that's what the listing will say. And that fulfilled by Amazon is really important. People look for that. I know that when because you can sell on Amazon without having them fulfill the orders for you, without having them warehouse it. So you advertise your product and it'll say sold and fulfilled by Steve's Trading Company, which means Amazon says, hey, you made a sale, but then you're responsible for having your own warehouse and doing your own shipping and all that kind of good stuff. I personally won't buy stuff from Amazon that's not fulfilled by Amazon, because it always takes longer, it's not eligible for Prime, and it's usually a pain in the ass. So unless it's something very special that Amazon doesn't fulfill, which is like, almost never happens, right? Because they sell everything on Amazon. I won't buy it. And that's why it's a competitive advantage to to have Amazon fulfill your products and warehouse them for you. And it's just easier. Okay. So people get a little confused on this, which is why I wanted to make sure that everybody kind of understood. Okay. So how do we figure out what the hell to sell? This is important. This is one of the, obviously, maybe the most important thing. So here's the general idea. And I go through this a lot with people. Creating demand, expecting to create demand, is a trap. Sometimes people get excited and they go, you know what? I got this great product. Nobody else is selling it. It's fantastic. Everybody's going to want it. So my questions are, why is no one else selling it? Because, there aren't a lot of new products out there. And pretty much anything that people will buy, somebody's already selling. Now, is there a small chance that you have the next pet rock? And sorry for those of you who are young and have no idea what the hell that is. Yeah, sure, there's a chance, but there's a hell of a lot more of a chance that you just found a product that nobody wants to buy, which is why nobody's selling it. Or it's so new that maybe someday everybody will want it, but let's sell it when everybody wants it, not now. All right? Because trying to figure out a way to create demand is a losing battle and a trap that people fall into very, very often, not just on Amazon, on any kind of e-commerce, on any kind of selling. It is a struggle. And companies, when they introduce new products, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on creating a brand recognition for that product and just a demand, essentially a market for a product that hasn't existed before. So think long and hard if you find a product that you're excited about and you're excited because no one else is selling it and you think you're going to corner the market. Almost never happens. So what we're looking for then is we're looking for something that's already being sold and sold well, by the way, but where there's room for us to kind of sneak in and outmarket the other guys, or at least outmarket them enough to get a nice little piece of the pie. Okay? So we've got the criteria kind of boiled down to what gives us the best chance. And I think that this is one of the big reasons why I never see people fail. Okay? It's because if you nail the criteria, then you're pretty much assured that this is going to work. So we're going to look at price. We're going to look at the bestseller rank of the products, which kind of give us an indication of how well the products are selling. We're going to try and look at demand. We're going to focus mostly on the bestseller ranking. These other things are a little more advanced, but bestseller ranking gives us a good idea. We're going to look at the competition mostly by looking at the number of reviews, believe it or not. That is a good proxy for competition, and we'll talk about that. But again, we're looking for something that's already being sold well, but where there's a little bit of room for us to jump in. Okay. So selecting a product. Some people love this. Some people hate it. Some people just look at the Amazon website and just have a blank stare and never go any further. There is no secret to this, okay? And there is no substitute for simply going to Amazon.com and clicking on that all button. Let me show you what I mean by that, and then I'll show you one of my other favorite ways of doing this. We just go over to Amazon. Just go to Amazon.com, and you go over to the all button here, and just click down. And you'll start to see all of these categories. Amazon is crazy hierarchical, okay? And so you're basically just clicking on the category, and then you can start to see, if you do search on that category, you can start to see all the best sellers in that category, and then you'll see subcategories, and you can go into there. And so looking for ideas, okay, is as easy as simply doing what I just did and starting to make a list of things that you think are interesting. We'll talk a little bit about the criteria that you're looking for. We'll talk a lot about it in just a minute. But the first pass is really just to get some ideas about, it would be helpful if it's maybe things you're interested in, right? If you're going to spend a lot of time worrying about what this product is, how it looks, how it performs, it'd probably be good if you had some passing interest in it. People build, businesses that bring them in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in profit. So they spend a lot of time on these products, looking at them and selling them and talking to people about them. So it would be nice if you, again, knew something about it or had an interest in it or wanted to learn about it. That's perfectly acceptable as well. But the best way to do it, or one of the best ways to do it, is simply to just do what I just did. You go in there, home and kitchen, and do a search on that category, and it'll start to bring up all sorts of products. And then over here, you've got all sorts of subcategories, kitchen and dining. And you'll go into kitchen and dining, and then you've got all sorts of subcategories below kitchen and dining. It just never ends, honestly. Okay. So it could be, I think it's almost a little overwhelming sometimes for people because there's like way too many things to choose from. One thing that this is my favorite way to do it, and I don't think we've given you guys access to this product, and Chris isn't online, but I'm going to make sure that you do all get access to this product, okay? We call this our Ecom Product Finder. Here's all it does. It's not very sophisticated. Well, you can use it for a whole bunch of different things, but the thing I like to use it for is I just say, hey, give me a random Amazon item. Now you'd think that that would be that's like there's nothing too sexy about that, but it's actually quite hard to do because you can't just go into Amazon and tell Amazon to give you a random item. And I designed this piece of software, and I'll tell you where I got the idea from. Years ago, there was a really cool article about this, this computer guy who created this program that just ran, and it bought him random Amazon items, like, a couple a week. And he put a budget in. He said, I don't want to spend more than $50 a week. But he got random packages delivered to himself a couple times a week. And it was like Christmas. Every time a package arrived, he had no idea what was going to be in there, right? And so I read that article and I thought that was really cool. And then I thought, man, that would be super helpful when we're trying to brainstorm e-commerce ideas. And we actually developed this way before we even started selling on Amazon. This was for our drop shipping businesses because it was, it's the same principle. So all you do is you get rid of, there was a minimum price of $100 and a max price. You can put like a minimum and max price, or you can just hit random search. And now it's not going to work, so maybe I'm not signed in. Maybe you have to put in a random or a minimum amount of money. Come on, guys. I'm going to log in again. Hold on. Don't you just love product demos? All right. I think it's because I timed out. All right, so there's a little video. So now I've got to, all right, this email doesn't work anymore. So, and let me see if I remember my password. If not, I'm going to have to, no. All right, hold on 1 minute. I'm going to have to pause this. Stand by. All right. Hey, Mark, if you can hear me.
Yes.
Is my old email address still up there?
Let me make it bigger.
I just want to make sure my screen is
Not totally frozen.
okay.
It's the one that ends at no.rr.com.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's cool. All right, let me just bear with me, guys. I really apologize for this. I signed into it and everything, and of course, you know how these things go. Okay, I think I got it now. Let me show it again. All right. And again, I want to stress this email address does not work anymore. And let's see if I got the right. Hey. All right. I'm going to get rid of the minimum price. I'm just going to do a random search. So I hit the random search button, and it just brings me back all sorts of Amazon items. And it's a fantastic way to just dip in and get random items. Now, it doesn't even mean that you'd have to sell like, dragon jewelry or, this puzzle here or these shoes. But sometimes it starts you to think about other products. You look at it and you go, well, maybe some kind of pet vitamins, or whatever, right? So it just gets you starting to think, and there's great power in that. So that's one of my favorite ways to do it. But again, just looking through the Amazon products will start to give you ideas. I'll make sure that everybody has access to this product. When you use it, be sure you get rid of the minimum max price, or alternatively, you could put a max price of like $50 or so, because that's kind of the price range that we talk about. You could do that, and then make sure you're hitting random search. All right. Because if you hit search, it is expecting you to put some kind of seed keyword in here. Okay, but random search will give you truly random products within Amazon, which again is much harder than it seems. It seems like that ought to be fairly easy to do. Okay, so let's talk about this more. So diving into Amazon, start sort of cruising through that hierarchy by clicking on the buttons, the Ecom Product Finder, things that hobbies that you have, interests that you have, what your friends and family know. Same concept, right? Magazines. If you go, I used to love to do this to give me ideas for niches for all sorts of different marketing projects, affiliate marketing, physical products. If you just go to a bookstore, which admittedly is becoming much harder to find, but 15 years ago or 10 years ago, there was a Barnes and Noble and Borders everywhere, right? They were like Starbucks. and they had these huge magazine racks. So some big cities and places still have these. You go and you could spend a whole afternoon just perusing through the magazine racks, because anybody that has a magazine is a market. And if they have a market, they're probably, well, they definitely have ads. And if they have ads, they have some kind of physical products. So it's fantastic to just go and pull out magazines that you're interested in, and see what physical products are being sold or being advertised or, branded. All right. And you're going to build a funnel. Okay. And let's talk about what that funnel looks like. You're going to have 8, and I tried to just sort of visualize this, or make people visualize how this works. You're basically just going to keep refining your pick until you're left with a very small number of things. So by the time that an idea of yours gets down to level 8 and passes all the different levels, it is very, very likely, almost 100% assured, that you're going to be able to make money with this product in a white label environment. Okay, so level 1, you just kind of dump all your good ideas into the top. So you make a list of like 20, 30 things that you find from doing this, going through the hierarchical structure of Amazon, or using the Ecom Product Finder, or all the other ideas that we talked about. Doesn't matter, if they're you don't have to evaluate them. Okay. Then go to level 2. Start thinking about, you only want things that are light and small. Okay, so think about things that are like about 18 to 20 inches or less in all dimensions, okay, and that are 2 pounds or less each item, all right? And the biggest reason for that is because if you don't do that, you're going to have to ship things by sea. Now, this assumes also that you're sourcing products from China or somewhere overseas. And sourcing and shipping products by sea can take 90 days. So you don't want to do that at first. Okay, so you want to reserve the right to be able to ship them by air, and you want to be able to make sure that it makes sense financially to be able to ship them by air. And so stick with somewhere around those metrics. You want to stick in the pricing level of around $15 to $50, not the cost. This is what they sell for. Okay, why is that? Well, you want it enough where you can make a good profit. Okay, so by the time you pay for advertising and Amazon fees and actually getting it manufactured and shipping, you may only have about maybe 30-40% margin. Well, if you are only selling it for $5, that could be like $2, right? So we want to sell for more than that, because we'd like to make, say, $20 profit per sale. All right, so that's 40% margin on a $50 product. However, so then you might think, well, why don't we sell stuff that's $200? Well, we also have to buy it, and we have to buy usually some kind of minimum order quantity of it, maybe 100, maybe 200 units. So, obviously, if something's going to sell for $200 retail, it's going to cost more. And that means that there's more capital outlay. So the sweet spot is somewhere around this $15 to $50. That's kind of the price that you should be looking to sell whatever it is that you are having manufactured. Now, the next thing is, can I build a brand around it? So do I see, is this just a one-off thing? Like a pet rock. Let's use that as an example. Again, for those of you who are too young to remember the pet rock, look it up. It was quite an interesting product and an interesting exercise in marketing. But if it's a pet rock, most likely you're not going to build a huge brand around that. That's a one-off product. That's a one and done kind of product. Okay. So you'd rather have something that you can build a brand around so that you can expand. Now, level 5 is think about, are there any sensitivity or liability issues? So for example, is it, you wouldn't want to do this anyway, but is it fireworks? Is it something that I think Chris uses an example in the cash flow sheet about like clippers for dogs' nails? Is there some liability that you might, hurt the dog or something? And just think through it. It's not that big of a deal. I know hundreds and hundreds of people who have sold millions and millions of dollars of product, and I've not had one person had any legal issues. However, why bring it upon yourself, right? So you're not going to sell any knives or ammunition or explosives or poison, or I mean, just common sense, right? So think about that. Obviously, there has to be some demand. Okay, so we're going to want to look very, very closely at the demand. We're going to want to look very, very closely at the competition. Okay, and we're going to want to look closely at what I call premium opportunities. Is there an opportunity for us to make this product stand out amongst the competition? Can we make some changes or do some nice marketing to make it stand out? Great example of that are these silly Yeti coolers, YETI coolers. They're all the rage in boating and tailgating and things like that, and they're freaking coolers, right? So is the Yeti cooler any better than a $5 cooler you get at the 7-Eleven? Probably not. But boy, are they good at marketing. Okay, everybody wants a Yeti cap and a Yeti cooler in their truck, and they cost like 20 times what a regular cooler costs because they're great at marketing. All right. So are there some premium opportunities? So the idea here is maybe you put in around 20, 30 ideas into level 1. By the time you get something out of level 8 and it kind of answers all these questions and goes through all these things, then maybe you're left with 3 or 5 ideas, and that's okay. Or maybe even just 2. That's okay too. You want to be ruthless in this. Now levels 1 through 5 are pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to dive into them in any more detail. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on demand, competition, and premium opportunities. All right. What you want to do is you want to find the demand. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this, and there are some advanced ways using some other tools and things, and all that is gone over in the document. However, this is 80% of it, and that is just finding out the top products for the most obvious keyword. All right. So let's say it's a cheese grater that you want to sell, or a garlic press. I think that's the example that's used in the cash flow worksheet or cheat sheet. Well, what keyword would you think you'd use for garlic press? I'm going to go with garlic press. Not a big leap of logic there, right? Use common sense. Use the most obvious keyword that probably has the most search volume. Type that in Amazon. Type in garlic press. What are the top 3 products that come up that sort of match what you're looking for? Now, sometimes accessory type products come up in the first page. So maybe a garlic press, I don't know, cover or something. I don't know. I'm just making that up. It's a poor example, but that's not what we're talking about. So find the first 3 garlic presses that come up. That is your competition. And that's also going to tell us what the demand is. So when you look at each of those 3 products, you're going to look at the bestseller ranking. And again, all this is, there's real world examples in the document. So don't worry if you don't know what this is. It's very clear. Amazon simply tells you. They give you a number. They say, this is the ranking for this product in this category. And you want to use the top category, the main category. And you're looking for some consistency here. You're looking for the top 3 products to probably be, pretty close to each other, relatively speaking. And you want a BSR that's less than 10,000, but more than 300 for all 3 of them. Okay. And sometimes what happens is if you find a BSR that is, very, very low for one of the 3 products, which means it sells really well. The lower the BSR, the higher the sales. And the other 2 are very high, then usually that means that there's some kind of brand going on there. So in other words, if you had looked up Yeti coolers and the first one was a Yeti cooler and the other 2 were not Yeti coolers, but they were coolers, probably the Yeti cooler has a better bestseller ranking. And, that's mostly because people are looking for that brand. So you want to be on guard for that. So that's why you want some consistency, because then that tells you that people want a high quality product. They're not shopping brands. And since your brand is not well known yet, that speaks, that plays to your advantage. Okay. So But in level 6 here, to make sure that we can continue on with whatever idea we're looking at, whatever product idea we're looking at, what we're trying to figure out is, are the ones that are already on Amazon selling well? And that's all we want to know. And the way we find that is we go to the most obvious keyword that someone would type in when looking for the product that we're trying to evaluate, in this case, garlic press. And we look at the top 3 things that come up and we go, okay, this is probably our market right here. And how are they doing? And if their BSRs are pretty low, okay, then we know they're doing okay. And we know there's a market. We haven't looked at whether we could compete against them or not yet, but we know there's a good demand, and that's all we needed to determine in level 6. Now, level 7, we're going to use reviews as a proxy for how good these guys are at marketing. It's a pretty darn good proxy, as it turns out. Okay. And it also speaks to kind of how long these people have held that position, which also plays to their advantage. But essentially, if any of the top 3 products have less than 300 reviews, we can probably get in there. Now, obviously, the less, the better, although you would be suspicious if all of the products had very low reviews. Okay, then it's like, well, what's up? Something's not right there. But usually what you see is one product has like 500, and then one product has 100, and one product has 50. Something like that. That's usually the pattern that you see. And clearly that meets our objective here. 2 of them have less than 300. Okay. And that means usually we can get in there and we can compete. All right. And again, we're using reviews simply as a proxy, a substitute for how good these guys are at marketing, because it is, at least it's a pretty decent one for that. Now, the premium opportunity. Do we have the ability to really make a premium product here by packaging or making some small tweaks? You know, how can we make our product stand out? Do we have a quick and dirty, that's the wrong way to say it, but, you know, is it obvious to us how we can make it better? You know, with a garlic press, maybe we can include, you know, that little piece that pushes the garlic out. I don't know, or cleans it off, or whatever the hell it is, right? So there's an add-on or a bonus product we can have. Maybe we can offer different color sizes. We can do better pictures. We could just do better packaging. We can look at the reviews. This is something that you need to do anyway. You look at the reviews for the top 3 products and see what people don't like about the product. I mean, we've done that a lot, where we've said, you know what, we're going to go after this product. We're going to get one made. And I notice on the one that really sells the most, everybody's complaining about this. Okay, well, we're going to address it. And not only are we going to address it, we're going to highlight that in our listing. We're going to say, and you won't have any problem with, you know, whatever it is. Okay. So this is a judgment call. And this is like, we're down to level 8 now. And we're like, okay, well, it's past all these other criteria. So how do we decide between this one and 3 others to go forward? Well, this is a great last thing to look at, and it's very, very subjective. But you're always going to be playing to your advantage if there's a way for you to differentiate your product rather than you being exactly the same as other people. And it doesn't have to be real differentiation. It can be like Yeti type of differentiation, which is simply marketing, which means packaging for the most part. Okay. That makes sense? Okay. So finding suppliers, there's, you know, I mean, again, pretty straightforward here. You know, you're going to create a list of potential ones. You're going to reach out to them. You're going to say, look, I'm thinking about making this product. Here's what I like about the ones that I've seen. Here's what I'm probably going to want to change. You're going to get from them. This is not necessarily the right order, because you'll probably want to get product samples before you talk pricing and MOQs. MOQs is minimum order quantity. What is the lowest number of these I can order first to get my business off the ground? All right. You're going to want to look at samples. So if you can imagine this process, you're going to be talking to maybe 5-6 companies, and you're going to be getting 5 or 6 different samples so that you can gauge the quality of their manufacturing. And then you're going to pick one supplier to work with. Okay. And you're going to customize the product. You're going to work on the packaging with that supplier. You're going to place your first order. Now, many people have their first order sent directly from the supplier to Amazon. I'm going to suggest that you do not do that. Okay. I think it's really, really important that you get the first order sent to yourself so that you can look through it all, maybe add in a product insert, which we'll talk about. Really quality control it before it goes to Amazon. All right. Especially the first shipment. You don't want some quality control problem to affect 100 or 200 items and then start selling them only to have to get them all back because you're getting bad review after bad review. Okay. Now we've matured to the point where we actually have an office in China. So we get all of our shipments sent to China, our office in China. They do all the quality control and pre-packaging and stuff before it even leaves the country. That way, if there's a problem, we don't have any delays or extra expense. We can just send it right back to the factory. Okay, so eventually you could get to that kind of a place. Then you get your inventory to Amazon and sell it. So China, a lot of people talk to me about, well, I don't really want to source it from China. It's a pain in the neck. I'd rather get it from the U.S. if you're in the U.S. And that's great. You're right. It can be easier to source a product or to deal with U.S. suppliers. There's just one problem. And that problem is we don't actually make anything in the United States anymore. Big shock. But we really don't. Okay? Everything's made in China. It's almost impossible to find U.S. suppliers. All right? It's unfortunate, but it is. So my advice to you, if you're just starting out, don't even bother. I really wouldn't even bother. I would just go right to Alibaba. Okay? And what I would do is when I'm looking for suppliers, I would only look for gold suppliers and assessed suppliers. That is enough of a filter so that you will get real companies that are genuine, that will not steal your money and can be trusted, okay? But it's not too restrictive where you won't get manufacturers, all right? This is, again, the old 80-20 rule at work. If you find a gold supplier who is also an assessed supplier, and these are filters you can select when you're looking for suppliers in Alibaba, you're going to be just fine. Okay, I've never had anybody report any problems with a gold and assessed supplier. Okay, there's a lot more information about this in the document. There are these other places like ThomasNet is for US suppliers and things, but again, I would just urge you, if you're just starting out, trying to find a US supplier is like beating your head against the wall. Okay, it's a huge pain in the ass, and with Christmas right around the corner, nobody has the time for that. Okay. So, you're going to go to Alibaba, you'll type in, garlic press, and you'll start to see who makes garlic presses. And that's all you're looking for right now. You're looking for who's making them, who makes good ones. You're evaluating the company. Do they have a website? Do they make more than one product? They have a nice range of products. Do they look real? But again, if you get this gold supplier and assessed supplier, you really don't have to worry too much. Okay. We've got actual email scripts to use when contacting suppliers. People get a little freaked out about this. Don't. Why? It's really just, all you have to do is just portray yourself professionally, and, people will work with you and want to work with you. Even if you've never done this before, what you might want to say is something like, look, I'm I have a successful online business where we do, affiliate marketing and, we monetize with AdSense and things like that. Even if it's not true yet, you just say that, okay? And we're looking to expand into e-commerce and importing goods from China. And so this is our first. It's perfectly okay to say this is our first product, and in fact, that plays into when you start negotiating about your minimum order quantity. That's fine. You can even say, hey, and we're working with very successful e-commerce marketers who do millions of dollars a year, and they're advising us and helping us and that kind of stuff. And that sometimes helps as well. And feel free to do that. And in fact, also, we are always available for people who need a business reference. Happy to do that, particularly in China. You won't need it, but if you ever do, you can ask for it through the support desk. It would just require us to get to, just know a little bit about you, and then we can be a Chinese business reference for you. Okay, because not only do we have an office in China, we have a Chinese company. So don't stress about this. And again, we've got actual email templates to use in the document, so you can just really cut and paste. Okay. But respond quickly. Don't be afraid to get on that phone, or Skype is best. I think Skype is really fantastic. And just do it. It's not a big deal. MOQs are really going to be the only sticking point. And that is, look, what's the least amount I can order to make this worth everyone's while? It's going to probably be a couple hundred units at least. I mean, sometimes you get away with less, but if you're going to want some customization and some packaging done, it's probably going to be a couple hundred units. Okay, that'll be my recommendation. So shipping by air, definitely for the initial batch, at least for the initial batch, and maybe for every batch from then on. But there's tons of examples in the cash flow guide, and again, templates and all sorts of things to help you deal with suppliers. So just go through the guide there. There's also a lot in the guide about packaging and branding, because it's a fairly large subject. People get a little bit nervous about this, but it's not a big deal. Every single one of these manufacturers or suppliers, whatever you want to call them, they have to do this for everybody. Okay. And it's important to know they don't necessarily know the term private label or white label. They just say, right here, packaging depends on client wishes, which means you're going to give them the graphics. You're going to give them your company logo. You're going to give them the name of your product. You're going to give them whatever it takes. It's different for every product. Whatever it takes to make your product yours, to make your product your brand. Okay. And they are completely comfortable with it. They know exactly what they need to do, and they do it all the time. So it's not to be, don't stress. So usually the manufacturer or supplier will give you, look, these are my requirements. I need a, PSD file with this resolution, or I don't know what the hell. But all you do is you say here to your professional designer, which you can get on 99 Designs or Elance, and you tell them, this is what I want. I want you to create a brand, a logo, and the packaging, and it has to be in this format. Okay. You are certainly going to want professional photographs of your product. The best way to do that is to get a sample that's really your product sent to somebody who does that. If you look on Elance or Odesk or that, which is now Upwork, you'll find people that do this for a living. They take pictures of products for Amazon. My suggestion is not to have the manufacturer or the supplier do it. They will do it for you, but the quality is not good, or it's not going to be as good if you simply hire a photographer to do it. It makes all the difference in the world. Okay? Makes all the difference in the world. It is probably the single most important thing you can do. All right? So this is why white label business, building a white label business, takes a little while. These are not complicated things. They just take time. They take time. It's worth it. It's worth it. And again, there's a lot of information about this in the cash flow document. But I highly recommend you get professional photographs. So, it's really all about branding and packaging, to create a premium look. It doesn't have to be the packaging. It could be the way that the product itself looks. It could be the color. It could be even the same exact product, but better pictures, right? So packaging is important, but sometimes good enough is important too, to just get it out. Maybe you just worry about building the brand at first to get, a logo on a bag or something like that. And we've done this before. And then it's packaged like this. And good enough is good enough sometimes, especially in the beginning. So maybe for your first couple hundred, just to get things going, just to get you to Christmas, to make things move faster, you want to just get a logo, a brand name. Again, it depends on what product it is. And oftentimes these things come in some kind of a bag, and the supplier, the manufacturer, will simply put your logo on there. Okay? And that's just fine. It's just fine. And did I have somebody? Yeah, I do. Just a second. So the other thing is package inserts. And again, I would probably urge you not to worry too much about those on the first order, but on subsequent orders. And package inserts are all about getting people to join your email list and maybe your 100K Factory Facebook page. Things like that, so you can market to them again. All discussed in great detail and about your brand website and stuff in the document. But for the first order, and again, considering Christmas is coming, I would argue you don't have to worry too much about that. Again, all this is gone over in the white label cheat sheet. You will need a UPC barcode number, and this is something that uniquely identifies your product. And you'll have to, I don't remember how much they are. They're like $1 or something. I don't know. Very cheap. And you can get it right there at cheapupcbarcode.com. And your UPC code, don't worry about this FN SKU, which sounds real dirty or something, but it's essentially an Amazon-specific UPC code. Okay, and you will need the UPC code to be on your package, but your supplier can do that for you as well. All right. All this covered in gory detail in the white label cheat sheet. So again, you do have two options. You can send it directly to Amazon, but I don't recommend that. Even with the first order, I recommend send it to your house. And just make sure you quality control it. Make sure it's exactly what you want it to be. I have had, the only horror stories I have had from people are people that didn't do this, and then there were problems with the product, and then you start to get bad reviews. You don't want that. I would argue all these things, number of positive reviews, sales velocity, bounce rate, conversion rate, all of these really amount to one thing. The rankings within Amazon the goal is fairly easy to understand. And by rankings, we mean when somebody types in garlic press into the Amazon website, what products come up. Okay? Amazon wants to present the products that have the best chance of making a sale. All right? That is how they get paid. So that is what their algorithm is all about. So they are mostly concerned about the conversion rate for people that type in that term. So conceptually, they track the conversion rate of your listing when people type in garlic press. And the higher your conversion rate when people type in garlic press, the more likely, the higher you will be on the page. Okay? Now, there are a lot of things behind that simple statement. Okay? And what these things here, number of positive reviews, sales velocity, bounce rate, conversion, they are really all driving sales. So at the end of the day, the only way to really have a positive impact on your ranking within Amazon is to sell when that keyword is used. Hopefully that's clear. So how do we do that? The first part of your marketing plan needs to be to get to 15 reviews as fast as humanly possible. Okay? And without a 100K factory site, you can use friends and family. We always immediately turn on Amazon auto pay-per-click. Okay, so that means that even though we won't show up in the Amazon rankings, we will show up as ads when someone types in garlic press, because we're a new product, so we're not going to show up in the rankings yet. But we'll show up as ads when someone types in garlic press that we pay for now, and we will start to get sales that way. If this is not your first product, you might have a VIP mailing list, and you could say, hey, I got a new product. Here's a coupon. Okay. There's all sorts of other ways. However, when you have a 100K factory site, what you can do is, let's say you got a 100K factory site with 15,000 followers. You go to your site and you say, hey, exciting news, brand new product. How about a 30% off coupon? And you let that go viral. Okay. So right away, you're going to have this enormous influx of buyers and sales and conversions that'll help you skyrocket to the top. And then if you think about it, with Amazon, it's not like Google where it's hard to stay at the top. With Amazon, it's actually easier to stay at the top because the more sales you have, the higher you rank. The higher you rank, the more sales you have. So you see what happens there? Kind of makes sense, right? So we got to figure out a way initially to disrupt that, to get in there, get our foot in the door. But once you do get your foot in the door, it's fairly easy to stay there. Obviously, the images are, they are the thing that will sell the product. Full stop. People are not in the store looking at an item, so they rely on images. And if the images suck, and believe me, I've seen some crappy images out there. If the images suck, no one is going to buy your product. No one. So you've got to get a photographer who knows how to take these kinds of pictures. So you can see this is a great listing. Compelling sales copy. It's really, really well done. Answers all the questions. Here you can see this is sold by Alpha Grillers. It's the Alpha Grillers garlic press and peeler set. It's fulfilled by Amazon. Okay. This is just it's just this recursive kind of, domino effect like I talked about. The more sales you have, the higher you are in the rankings. The higher you are in the rankings, the more reviews you get. The more reviews you get, the more sales you make. The more sales you make, the higher you are in the rankings. The higher you are in the rankings, the more sales you get. It's unbelievable. It's great. And it's so much easier than like Google SEO or something because it's so much more clear. Super, super clear. I was talking to one of our BPA guys, and we were going through the statistics, and we were trying to figure out, okay, why did the rankings drop? The traffic and the rankings dropped for one of his products. And we were a little bit of a loss. Then we started looking at it and we're like, oh, well, the conversion rate went way down. Why did that go way down? Oh, that's right. We had to raise the price because we were running out of stock and, whatever, a couple other things. And so it's like, oh, okay, well, so now here's a direct correlation. We see it right here. We had to raise the price. Once you raise the price, the conversion rate goes down. And then when the conversion rate goes down, your rankings drop. So there you go. Very easy to see, very easy to correct, right? So, and that brings us to, just something I want to make sure that everybody does. Once you start this business, the key is tracking. Track everything monthly. Track your traffic, which Amazon calls sessions. Track your conversion rate, which Amazon calls session rate percentage. If your conversion rate is less than 6%, it can be improved, believe me. Track the units sold. Track the keyword position. So you're going to track your top 3 keywords for the product. All right. And also track how many reviews you're getting. We didn't talk about this, but there's a product called Feedback Genius. And again, this is in the document, where you can solicit feedback and solicit reviews when people buy your product. Okay. And there's a whole process to go through to do that. But you really want about 5%. If you're not getting, and I'm everybody that I work with, I make them track this. How many reviews did you add this month? And what percentage of that, is that of the number of units you sold? So if you sold 100 units, I want at least 5 new reviews. That may not sound like a lot, but 5% is about the average that we see. It takes a lot of effort for people to leave a review. So if you get 5 out of 100 people leaving a review, that's pretty good. Okay. So 100K factory sites, how do they all tie in? The single thing that increases sales is simply an increase in the rankings. If you're tracking garlic peeler or garlic press, garlic peeler, I don't know, maybe you're only 2 for that product. If you can get yourself on the first page when people type that in, that is the single biggest driver of sales, once you have a quality listing. So we've been talking about this. How the hell do you increase the rankings? Well, you make sales when people search for those terms. So the key for the 100K factory tie-in is you can send traffic. You can send buyers that will increase your Amazon ranking. So it's not just about making sales from posting on your Facebook page for your 100K factory Facebook page. That's a momentary type thing. That's kind of a blip, right? You could keep posting and you'll keep reaching different people, particularly if you boost posts and things. Again, all the same things you're doing today for 100K factory sites. But those are blips, right? You have to keep doing that to keep driving that traffic. However, with a white label business, once you take advantage of having these 100K factory sites, all right, and you drive that traffic and you establish your conversion rate and you establish that you make sales on your listing, you will go up in the rankings in Amazon and stay there. So it's no longer just a momentary blip on the radar. It's no longer just a put something in and get something out. It is put something in and get something out for the long term without having to put more in, if that is clear. So what you want to do is, perhaps you should be focusing on building a brand or building a set of products that caters to an audience that you've already set up. So if you've got dog lovers and you've got 25,000 likes, well, crap, I would strongly urge you to be in the pet/dog market for your first product. Okay? Or you already know how to do this. So maybe you find a great product that you want to go into for white label. So build a new 100K Factory Facebook page and get 25,000 likes or whatever. Use that audience and drive the traffic that will increase your Amazon rankings. Okay, this is dramatically different than, now I'm hoping that you guys are like looking at this going, oh my God, the light bulbs are now going off. Like we couldn't talk about this 12 weeks ago, right? We just couldn't do it. We have to, you got to build this foundation, right? But now that you have these tactics, now that you know how to do this, you've got an incredible weapon in your arsenal that other people do not have. I can tell you, it is an enormous advantage if you use it properly. So you're going to use these audiences and you're going to drive the traffic that will increase your Amazon rankings, but not just for the moment, okay? So very specifically, how do you do that? Well, you can create coupons for your audience. You can offer those. You can do it regularly. You can use what we call the super URL strategy. Okay, now I'm not going to, you can look this up. It's also in the document. Here's what happens. You can say, let's say you've got a dog Facebook page, 25,000 likes, and you put a post up there about your new dog product, and you're going to offer people 20% off. And maybe it's a collar, and you know that you want to rank for the term dog collar. All right. Well, there's a way to use what we call a super URL link to Amazon so that when people click on your ad, essentially, now they're not going to go to your 100K Factory website. They're going to go to Amazon. But you use a link that basically mimics somebody going to Amazon.com and then typing in dog collar. So when they use the coupon and buy to Amazon, it's as if someone went to Amazon and typed in dog collar and then bought your product. And what do we know about that? That is the best way to increase your rankings for the search term dog collar. Okay? And increase your rankings for the long term. So you can use all of these strategies and tactics from the 100K Factory, including boosting posts and all that kind of stuff. But instead of AdSense, it's your Amazon profitability that we're going to use to monetize. Okay? It is if you have two marketers, they each pick the same product and they each do everything right, and you have a 100K Factory site with 15,000 likes, that's the audience that this product caters to, you are going to kick that other marketer's ass in a heartbeat. Because it's all about being able to turn on a traffic faucet, okay, to impact the Amazon rankings. Whew. We just went over a lot. And I know that it seems like it might be a little bit overwhelming. There is a lot to do, a lot of little details with a white label business, but it is not complex. It is not, it's a lot easier to understand, I think, than some of the ins and outs of, Facebook advertising and things like that. It's usually just because, there's a lot of people involved and it takes time, but it is a great business. It is a low risk kind of endeavor. It is a home run. These things work all the time. And the combination of the 100K Factory and the white label business will knock your socks off. Okay. Whew. All right. Let's see. Okay, I got a lot of really nice comments. I think everybody is pretty pleased. Good. All right. So for a $15 to $50 product, what's a ballpark upfront capital outlay needed? So, let's take a $30 product. We'll pick right in the middle. You're probably going to have to spend about maybe 30% of that cost on the product itself. So figure about $9 each. And I would say you'll want a couple hundred units. So you're talking about $1,800. So let's call it $2,000 to get inventory from China to Amazon. The other fees that make up probably the other, like, say, 10%, so another $3-4 ish, you're going to be paying as you sell them. You'll pay that to Amazon. So it's not upfront capital because you're getting money in at the same time because people are buying it. So I would say somewhere around $2,000 is, it's going to vary wildly based on the cost of the product that you're picking and how many you have to buy up front. But that's probably an order of magnitude. There you go. Claudio says, I worry about vitamins, minerals, and supplements on Facebook based on their terms of service. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, Claudio. A lot of people initially got into supplements and vitamins and all that kind of crap, and it's very lucrative. We don't do any of it. I don't like it at all for liability and all sorts of other reasons. I also think that a lot of it's just a bunch of crap. So I'm just not a big fan. But there's plenty of other things out there, that's for sure. Regarding the tie-in with 100K with boosting posts, does Steve mean about white label product Facebook posts? Yeah, that's what I meant about basically using all the tactics we've learned. And instead of worrying about sending traffic to your website, you're sending traffic to Amazon with that super URL. And you are making sales, but also you are increasing your rankings. So there you go. Let's see. Carrie says, if my engagement benchmarks are not met yet, should I wait on white label? Carrie, my advice right now, I hate to kind of say this, but because I like people to finish what they start. However, there's just no reason in the world not to be involved in white label business. And the calendar is kind of working in our favor if we get started right now with Christmas, and it takes a while and you often have a lot of downtime. So I personally would suggest to everyone to just do it and make it your highest priority. And even making it your highest priority, you'll have a lot of time where there'll just be nothing to do because you're waiting for somebody to do something for you. And that's okay. It's just the nature of the beast, or you're waiting for product to arrive or whatever. So. What kind of things to sell for Christmas? Maria, everything sells in Christmas. I don't care if it's, I talk to a lot of people about, well, geez, I didn't think my kitchen cleaner, would sell big for Christmas. But there's a saying, a rising tide, raises all ships. And that's what happens at Christmas. I don't care what it is. Everything sells at Christmas. November and December for everything on the planet is like 2 to 3 times normal volume. It's awesome. Is there a required seller license? Absolutely not. Nope. Let's see. Actually, and this is a good point. So other than your initial order, do you ever periodically order your own product down the road to verify quality is still high when customers receive it? Don't really order it from Amazon. Some people have if they've had problems or something and they suspect there's some issue. But seeing it before it goes to Amazon is usually just our regular MO. I don't think for any of our products we ever send anything directly to Amazon. I know other people do once they develop a rapport with the supplier and so on. But Willis also asked about possibly ordering your competitor's product. And absolutely, you should do that. You should order the top 3 products so that you can evaluate them. You do not have to start a business or anything. You don't have to be an entity. You can be just your own person. So you're all good. So I'm being transferred due to military move to Germany. I live in Colorado now. I see issues with this because Colorado is limited by Amazon. You're making a mistake here. You're confusing Amazon affiliate marketing with the business model we're talking about. There is no restrictions on any state in the union or most countries in the world with doing this business model with Amazon. With Amazon, you are limited to certain states in being an affiliate marketer for Amazon, but that's not what we're doing here. It is not the same thing. So none of that applies. What you're talking about are the affiliate nexus laws, which have an impact in certain states, but it does not apply to this. Let's see. If you've never sold on Amazon, is it hard to start with no reviews? It's not, Carrie. Everybody starts with no reviews, right? So surprisingly, it's not. And also, by the way, you are getting reviews from like friends and family to start things off with, or from your, you've already established a rapport with your Facebook page, right? With your 100K Factory people. So they already have a certain amount of confidence that it's okay to order from you. So every single product that starts out with 0 reviews, and it's totally okay. What about manufacturing from India instead of China? Fine, no worries there at all. If you live in New Zealand, this is a good question. How can you check the product before it goes to Amazon, as you would be tripling your shipping costs? Yep, agreed. The problem can be solved by certain companies that'll do it for you. There's a company called FBA Inspection, and so if you look around that, you'll find that. And yeah, that's a pain in the neck, but it can be done that way. Let's see. How do you verify a new product if you're outside the? I think I just answered that question. Sorry. Fired up and want to start now. Good. What? I love these kinds of questions. Claudia says, "What if you get lots of orders and you run out of product?" You would order more, and this time order more than you did the other time. I mean, just give an example. We're talking about spending couple $1,000s. We just placed our Christmas order for one of our products, and it's going to be about $35,000 or $40,000 for one product. So I mean, once you start selling a lot, then obviously that's a pretty good problem to have, right? And then you're definitely going to have cash flow issues to deal with and manage. But again, that's a really good problem to have. Let's see. I know a guy who's got a great company in the health and fitness niche. He's in the U.S. There really aren't any precautions or any issues for U.S. supplier. They're just hard to find. So if you have an in with a U.S. supplier that you already know, super. And the reason that the U.S. supplier is really fantastic is because it's just usually easier to communicate. And if you're in the U.S. to begin with, then obviously shipping is a lot easier and all that kind of stuff. Sports niche. Seems like apparel is the only choice. Really? Go into the Amazon sports category. Yeah. No, there's a lot of different things you can sell. So I wouldn't worry that you'd have to go head to head with Nike or something like that. No, it doesn't require any kind of seller license or anything like that. Do we have to be concerned with possible copyright infringement if our product is too close to some company's copyright? Everybody should get a quick understanding of what copyright and trademark and patents are. Usually products are not copyrighted. They are patented. But there are very few unique products that are patented and protected in that way. And copyrights usually refers to the brand. So, for example, and actually I don't even think this is a real good example anymore, but Coke, when it first came out, the formula could be patented. Okay, so nobody could create the exact formula. The name Coca-Cola is copyrighted or trademarked, so nobody could call it Coca-Cola. But you can create Pepsi, okay, without any trouble. All right, so just maybe that makes the most sense. Jewelry is something that, in general, you should probably stay away from. It's hard to get into that category, so just keep that in mind. There are a few categories that are hard to get into in Amazon: jewelry, clothing. We happen to be in clothing, but I don't think we would have been in clothing if we hadn't already had. We had other stores outside of Amazon that were in clothing, and so we actually got asked to go into the clothing category, but it can be a pain in the neck. So anyway, let's see. Sorry. Somebody's asking, would our office in China do FBA inspection for a fee? We don't. We don't have the space. We're actually out of space for ourselves right now. We're getting more space, so we don't have the space to do it for other people. So no. Keith's saying, if there are many businesses requiring liability insurance, toys for kids, toys for pets. Honestly, nobody requires insurance, first of all. I did talk a little bit about that, to stay away from things that are, that have that potential. But I really wouldn't worry too much about that. Again, because you're going to try and stay away from things that could cause problems. I don't want to tell anybody not to worry about insurance, okay, because I'm not an insurance guy. However, I can only tell you that I have experience with thousands and thousands of products and millions of dollars in sales. And I don't mean just our products. I mean many, many other people's products that I'm involved in. And I have never, not once in years, had anybody have any legal trouble at all.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Got a few people asking how Facebook and the white label products will kind of work together and what Facebook's rules are regarding white label products.
I don't know that Facebook has any rules about white label products at all. I mean, it's just the straightforward, I've never run into any problems with us promoting any physical products. They routinely, if you are on Facebook and you've been to Amazon, you're going to see retargeting ads for every single product you've ever looked at, probably. So there aren't any issues there. The best way to leverage it is as I've been discussing, which is, using your 100K factory type Facebook pages and audiences to have a manipulative effect on the Amazon internal rankings. That is the most powerful way to use it. Can you put a coupon on your Facebook page? Absolutely. Yep, you certainly can. All right. Well, we've been at it for 1 hour and 50 minutes now, and I think that we're gonna put a pin in this. I think everybody really enjoyed this. At least that was the impression I got. So I'm excited that you're excited, because the one takeaway I want everybody to have is this wasn't necessarily what you signed up for with 100K Factory, but we did always allude to this, that there were things out there that we wanted to share, but hopefully you see why we couldn't talk about this in week 1. It's just too much, right? But we're talking about it at the right time, okay? So the one takeaway I'd like everybody to have is, if you're not doing this already, I would really, really love you to be doing it, okay? And please take advantage of that incredible document that is, I am not kidding you, and I can sit here and tell you, because I'm not trying to sell you anything, that document is worth more than the quote-unquote popular $5,000 course. It really is. So use it, okay? Because you have it. All right, guys, thank you so much. And thanks for you guys behind the scenes answering questions. I see you're keeping up with everything. I really appreciate it. And I will catch up with you guys next time. Y'all take care.